Hi everyone, this tutorial is going to walk you through the official Canvas training specifically for newbies, but if you are a trailblazer that needs a little bit of a refresher on some of the setup items, you can definitely use this to help you get started. So I want you to make sure that you have your official d155.instructure.com Canvas page open. If it works for you to have a split screen, that works pretty nice, or you can toggle back and forth, because I'm going to take some pauses here and ask you to try some things out just to make sure that you kind of get what you need as you're working through this training. So our goals for today is I really want you to focus on just one course that you're going to be building for this year. I'm going to walk you through how to set it up, how to organize it, in the hopes that you can get those other courses set up similar on your own. Also, I'm going to talk to you about designing that course so it meets your instructional style, what content you teach, and just your preferences and student needs. We're going to spend a great deal of time talking about the Canvas gradebook, how to create assignments, and how to set up submission types within Canvas. I'm also going to share this presentation with you, and it is interactive. So if you forget how to do something, you need a refresher, you can use the presentation to link to any slide in this presentation that will give you some step-by-steps of how to do things. So feel free to use it, bookmark it throughout the school year. So let's jump into just start of the year setup and getting your course up and running. So since we're kind of close to the start of the school year now, I'm going to leave it up to you if you want to create a sandbox or if you just want to jump into that official course. It's completely up to you. You can decide what you want, but I'm going to talk about the difference between those two things as we get started here. So a sandbox course is not linked to Skyward. It is just something for you to build in, and then we can easily import anything you build in a sandbox into those official courses. If you are feeling crunched for time and you just want to start building in your official courses, you can certainly do that at this point. You just got to keep in mind that if you don't like anything, you're going to have to manually go in and delete content versus deleting that whole sandbox class. So you can differentiate between the official courses and the sandbox courses by this gray text underneath. So if it says Carrie Grove Semester 1 or PR Semester 1, those are official Skyward linked courses, which means Skyward has populated student rosters, and this course will be automatically populated on student screens as they log into Canvas. Anything that doesn't have that gray text below it means it's a sandbox class. It doesn't have students enrolled in it automatically. And it's usually just something we build in. If you teach in a specialized program that does not grade in Skyward, you will probably always work out of a sandbox class. So you will have to create those, and you can manually add students in very easily. So I'm going to walk you through how to create a sandbox. Leave it up to you if you want to do that. Keep in mind you can just jump into those official courses as well. So anytime you want to complete or set up a sandbox course, again, for a specialized program, something to just build in, or if you want to create a course for a club or an activity, extracurricular, you're going to follow these steps. So you're going to go to Courses on the gray toolbar. You're going to click on All Courses at the very bottom of that list, and you should see a gray button that says Add a Course. When you do that, it's going to prompt you to give that course a name, and whether you're or if you are creating a sandbox, I would highly recommend that you put the title of sandbox at the end of it, so that way you can easily differentiate, what's a building course and what is a Skyward linked course. So go ahead and try that. Go ahead and pause me and make sure you have your sandboxes set up if that's something that you're choosing to do. Next, I want to talk about your dashboard. So this is the screen that you will see when you log into Canvas anytime. It's also the screen that your students are going to see when they first log into Canvas as well. So your dashboard is separated into published courses and unpublished courses. So if you haven't published any of your courses, that means that it's not going to show up on your student's screen until you do so. Anything that I have published and it's officially linked to Skyward means that it will populate on student screens automatically. Okay, these sandbox classes that I'm just building in, I'm never going to publish those because it's just a building course for me. I'm going to import those into my official classes once I'm ready. So a couple things you can do to organize your dashboard when you feel ready. You can pick and drag those tiles by just kind of hovering over them. Clicking down, you can drag them to reorganize by period, whatever's going to work best for you. You can also choose to click on those 3 dots on the tiles, and you have a couple different options here. You can give that course a nickname, and that nickname is just for you. Your students won't see that, other staff members won't see that. Nickname is just personal for you. You can change the color of the tile as well. And then you can use that move button, and you should see an unfavorite option there. If you don't see that, don't worry, I have another way for you to move those things. But let's say you have a tile on your dashboard that you don't need to see every single day. You can click unfavorite and it will move that to a different place, so you don't have to see it every single day. So if you want to get rid of your Growing with Canvas class or old sandboxes, you can unfavorite those and it will remove it from your dashboard. Another way to kind of rearrange and customize what your dashboard looks like is to go to that Courses tab on the side again. You're going to click on that All Courses just like we did previously, and you're going to look for those stars down the left-hand side. Any star that is highlighted means that that class is going to show up on your dashboard. If you don't want that course on your dashboard anymore, all you have to do is click on that star, unhighlight it, and now it is stored for you, but you don't need to see it every day on your dashboard. This is also a great place for you to see the term. So you'll notice that this course right here has something populated where it says PR Semester 2. That is a good indicator to me that this is an official Skyward linked course. These courses here don't have anything under term. That means those are just SANDBOX classes or manually created classes that do not have a Skyward roster embedded inside of them. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second to try that and play with customizing your dashboard from this screen. So now that you've created your SANDBOX course, or you're choosing to work in your official Skyward linked course, now we have to talk about templates. So it can be a little bit daunting when you first open that new course and it's completely blank. So your coaches have created 3 different options for you of things you can pull in that will help you organize and not feel like you have to start from scratch and you have a little bit more to work with. So I'm going to ask some questions to get you thinking. I'm going to share a little bit about each template and then have you guys make a decision about which one you want to pull into your course. So the first template is organized by week, and it has a very website feel. So you've got your home page with wonderful buttons here that students can click on to take them to any given week. And what students will see when they click on that weekly button is a calendar overview page. This is how you're going to organize the activities for the day. You're going to share links to the activities within Canvas for students to navigate to, so that way they know exactly what they're supposed to do on any given day. This can be customized, which we'll talk about, but changing the look of each button requires you to go to an outside website. So just keep that in mind, that it's not super easy to change the look of any of these buttons. Template number 2 is very similar, has a website type of feel, except it's organized by unit instead of by week. So again, you've got a wonderful home page here with buttons that students can click on, depending on the unit of study they are in. But this time it will take them to a calendar, similar to that overview page, except you've got more dates to work with since you're going to be spanning an entire unit. Just like before, you're going to link to the activities for the day so students know exactly where to go and what they're supposed to do. The last option has a more Google Classroom feel. So if you're feeling a little bit apprehensive about this switch and you're not sure where to start, this could be a great option for you. So this module view basic template has students go straight to modules where their content is located when they first log into your course. So this is organized by week. So students will find the week that you are currently on, and they'll start at that overview page, just like before. It'll take them to this calendar of activities where you will link to what they're supposed to do for the day, so they know exactly what they're supposed to do. So that's an overview of each of the templates, and some things to think about before you make your decision is, do you want to organize your course by week or by unit? And then when students log into your course, what do you want them to see? A beautiful homepage with buttons, or are you okay with them just going straight to the content, straight to modules to figure out what they're supposed to do for the day? So week by week versus unit. Week by week organization works really well for remote and blended learning because it's not as overwhelming for students. Weekly chunks of information are a little bit easier to manage and balance within those remote and blended situations. The thematic or unit view is great because students have a clear progression of what they're supposed to be learning. You can chunk all of the information in one big group. But again, depending on what our school year might look like, you might choose to actually switch and go back and forth between the two at any given time. Also have to think about, do you want that home page with fancy buttons, or are you okay with that module view? So that home page is definitely nice to look at. It's great to have students click and figure out where they're supposed to go. It's more like building a website than a Google Classroom. Whereas that module view is very similar to Google Classroom, and the setup is a little bit less for you as the teacher because you don't have to worry about linking to those buttons and making those buttons look how you want them to look. You're going to be building in modules, so it's easy for you and the students to know exactly what they're supposed to do for the day. So here are those templates again. I'm going to have you guys make your decision. And once you think you know what you want to import, you're going to find the gray Commons button that's on your gray toolbar on the far left-hand side. And that will take you to a screen where you can search for different content that people have shared. So once you've clicked that button, you should see a search bar that pops up. You're going to type in D155 Fall 2020, and you should see these 3 templates pop up. Choose which one you'd like to use. You're going to click on that, and then you should see a blue button that says Import Download. When you click on that Import Download, you should see a list of all of the courses that you have in Canvas. You're going to choose the ones that you want to plop this template into, and then you can import that into your course. I'm going to give you a second to try that, and then go ahead and jump back in. One last thing we need to do for setup is turn on new quizzes. So Canvas is in a bit of a facelift type of phase where there's 2 different options for quizzes. You can't go wrong with either one, but new quizzes is definitely the preference among Trailblazers. This needs to be turned on in each one of your courses in order for it to work. If you choose not to turn this on right now, you're just going to be using the classic quizzes, which is completely fine. So what I need you guys to do, under settings in your navigation bar, if you go into the course that you're building with me, you should see settings at the very bottom of your navigation bar. When you click on settings, you should see a tab at the top that says feature options. And I need you to find the button kind of halfway down that says new quizzes. You're going to toggle new quizzes on, so that way it's available to you as you are making some digital quizzes for your students. What you need to do after you go ahead and toggle that on is make sure you save that, and then I need you to find the quizzes option in your navigation bar. When you click on quizzes, you'll see a screen that has a red button that says add a quiz. The first time you click on add a quiz, once you've turned on new quizzes, it's going to ask you which quiz feature do you want to use. Like I said, you can't go wrong with either one, but new quizzes is definitely the preference among current users. So my suggestion would be to click on new quizzes and then tell Canvas that please don't ask me this anymore. I always want to use new quizzes, and then you can go ahead and submit. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys do that, refresh, look back, make sure you have new quizzes turned on, and you're ready to go. So we're finished with our setup phase. Things that you should be able to do now that we've gone through that is we've customized our dashboard. We've gotten things on and off of our dashboard that we want there. We talked about how you're going to organize your class, week, or unit, homepage, or modules. And then we also talked about going to Commons and pulling in that template that one of your coaches has created. And then we turned on new quizzes for one of our courses. So go ahead and take a breath, look back at any of those things if you need to, and then we can jump into the next section. Now we're going to jump into our design section where we're going to set Canvas up to meet the needs of you for what you teach and for your students. So the first thing we need to talk about is customizing the template that you pulled into your course. So no matter what template you pulled in, you can customize it to look however you want. So the first thing to think about customizing is that home page. No matter what you do, you want to keep it simple. You want to think of that home page like designing a website. So whether you have an adorable template homepage with buttons, or even if you have that basic module view, you want to keep that homepage nice and organized and simple for students. Every single template, or even if you didn't use a template, you need to make sure you customize that overview and calendar page to link to units or weeks that you have and resources that you've made in Canvas. That is going to be crucial for keeping kids organized within any Canvas course. Also, the less writing is better. Okay, so you want to keep things nice and short and simple for students so they actually read it. You can add audio notes, whatever you need to do to make it simple for students to follow directions and find things. If you want to customize your buttons or home pages or banners within pages, your coaches really like Adobe Spark, but Canva is also a great option for creating buttons or images or banners for your Canvas course, but this is definitely an advanced skill, something you don't have to worry about if you're just getting your feet wet. So let's talk about that overview page. This is so important no matter what template you have pulled in. So you need to make sure that you train and instruct your students that this is where they're going to start every single day. So no matter what your overview page looks like, this is where students begin and where they're going to find content for your course. So Canvas makes it really nice to link to activities you have created. So if I'm creating a page or if I'm looking at this calendar page and I go to customize it or edit it, you'll see this tab on the right-hand side of your page, and you'll notice that all of your assignments or pages or quizzes that you have already created can now be inputted into your overview page. So you can plop this link right into the calendar so students don't have to go hunting within your course to find what they're supposed to do. They're just going to click on the link that you've provided for that day, and it will take them where they need to go. If you don't like these overview pages that pulled in from the template, you can change the wording. You'll notice that this used to say assignments and due date, but you can change it to be Group A, Group B. Whatever you think is best for your course, you can definitely customize it. A lot of you might have a Google Doc going or a Google slide presentation where you have, what students are supposed to do for the day. You can definitely put those into your overview pages instead and just have those pages link to your Canvas content. If you want to link in a Google slide or a Google Doc, then all you have to do is take that top URL and any of the pages or assignments that you create, and that can go into your Google Doc or Google Slide. When students click on those links within your Google Doc or Google Slides presentation, it'll take them straight to the assignment for the day. So that linking and organizing students within these overview pages is crucial, so that way students aren't confused about what they're supposed to do for the day. So if you want to pause me and just kind of play around with that overview page, just kind of see how it works, feel free to do that now. We also need to customize and design your navigation bar. If you pulled in a template, this is probably mostly done for you, but it's a good rule of thumb to know how to do it depending on year to year. So within every course that you are going to set up, you need to consider organizing this navigation bar within the course. You'll notice that a lot of these have an eyeball with a line through it. That means that students aren't going to be able to click on that link. And your coaches definitely recommend that the fewer buttons they have to click on, the better. Okay, so you'll notice here, anything on top in this group means that students can have access to click on those pages. And these would be the pages we would recommend that you have visible for students. You'll notice here that I've made announcements viewable for students, but it's showing as hidden until you complete your first announcement or push out your first announcement for students or publish your first module. It's always going to have that eyeball until you've created your first one. Okay, so anything that's on top here means that students can click on it and access it. All you have to do, if there's something that you want to add to the top, you're going to click and drag that up to the top so that way students can access it easily. The fewer the better. Don't get crazy. You're going to create assignments within modules, so there's no reason to have students be able to click on assignments since that is not organized. Make sure you click Save at the bottom of this navigation page, and so that your progress will save. If you click on Student View, this is what this looks like for students now, because I've cleaned it up and they don't have 50 options to choose from. They just know I can go to my home page, I can go to modules, or I can access my grades. You'll notice, like I said, there's no announcements created yet, so that's why there's not an announcement tab here yet until I've created that first one. So again, these are the only 5 things that your coaches would recommend having. You're going to drag and drop in that navigation. If you want to see what things look like on the student end, there is a student view option on the far right-hand side of your homepage that you can see what students can see. If you want to pause and play and make sure that is set up, you should do that now. So let's talk about modules. A module is what you are going to organize your information for students. So it's either organized by unit or by week, like we talked about, and it's just chunking information for students. So if I'm organizing my modules by week, that means everything for the week is going to go in week 1 module. If I'm creating content for week 2, any activity or page or quiz that students will complete during week 2 should be in the week 2 module. Okay, building a module is a lot like building a topic in Google Classroom. And you can't hear us say this enough, but everything that you create needs to be built in modules. So this is where you're going to create all your content and be able to share it with students nice and easily. So as you start to build out your modules, just a couple tips to make your life easier. Like I said, building a module in Canvas is a lot like using that topics option in Google Classroom. So let's say you had your topics in Google Classroom organized by unit. My suggestion would be to click on the unit that you created in Google Classroom. Look at those links and directions that you created for this activity and just plop that into an activity that you're going to make for your Canvas module. Okay, so it could all look very, very similar. It's a great place to start just to kind of copy things over so you don't have to recreate the wheel as much. Other options of what your modules could look like in Canvas. Again, if you're organizing by unit, there's lots of different ways you can organize that unit so students can easily find things. You have the option to create kind of some organizational headings within your module. So that way students know where to access certain things. So here are all your resources for this Module 1. Here are all the assignments you're going to be asked to complete in Module 1. And here's your assessment for Module 1. Nice and organized for students to find. If you choose to use that weekly view, you'll notice that it's a lot more manageable, a lot less content within the weekly module, but still students know this is everything I'm going to have to complete for the week. So I'm going to have you guys pause me and try it. I want you to try a couple different things. On your module page, you'll notice that you can add any new modules that you want. Those modules will default to the bottom of your page, but you can easily drag that up to the top or click on the 3 dots to move it wherever you would like it to go. So try creating a new module. You can also practice just editing those modules. Our weeks have changed. Things are constantly changing. So you can feel free to click on those 3 dots and edit any of the titles of your modules or any of the titles of things that are inside of that module. So go ahead and pause and try. Last thing we need to do is set up your gradebook. So one important thing for you to hear me say is that you will never enter a grade into Skyward any longer. Your gradebook is now in Canvas. Anytime students complete anything for points, you need to create an assignment in Canvas and grade it in Canvas. Okay? Because of this new shift, you need to make sure that we design your Canvas gradebook to really match your Skyward gradebook. So I'm going to walk you through that, and this needs to be done for every Canvas course that you are creating. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Assignments tab within Canvas. I'm going to actually walk you through. You can come back to these steps, but I'm going to walk you through how to do this in my own Canvas page. So for the course that you are designing with me today, I need you to head to your navigation bar and find the Assignments tab. This is something that students don't need to view. It's just for you. And basically, this is a very unorganized place for any assignments that you create for students. Okay, it's not organized. That's why we don't share it with students. But this is how we're going to categorize our assignments to match with Skyward. So you have, what you should notice if you pulled in the template is 4 different groups that have been created or populated. The first thing we need to do is get rid of this random assignments category. There is nothing that you create that's going to be categorized as just an assignment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 3 dots and we're just going to delete that category altogether. Then what you should notice is that you really only have 3 categories. Now, if you don't give a final exam in your course and that's not part of your Skyward gradebook, then you can also choose to delete that as well. But you definitely need to have a summative assessment category and a formative assessment. If you're creating these on your own, they need to match this word for word. Otherwise, you're going to have some syncing problems. The next thing that we need to talk about is your category weights. I would highly recommend that you double, triple check Skyward to see what this is categorized in Skyward. Whatever your percentages are in Skyward, these need to match exactly. So to set those up, we're going to go to the 3 dots at the very top of your screen, and we're going to go to assignment group weight. Those 3 categories will pop up, and this is where you can type in. You want to make sure that this is checked, so weight them on assignment groups. Then you're going to type in what your grade weights are, and then it will populate in Canvas. Okay, so these should change. Again, double, triple check to make sure that those match Skyward exactly. So I'm going to give you a second to try that. Make sure that that is set up how you want it. And since this is something you're going to have to do in every single course, you have another small video here that you can save or share, come back to, that walks you through exactly how to do that. Couple tips for how to organize your gradebook. This might not seem user-friendly right now because you don't have assignments created, but once you start to populate assignments, once you start to have students, come back to this page for tips to how to organize it. Anytime you go to enter a grade into your gradebook this year, you're going to use the Grades tab in your navigation bar. Some things to help it look more like Skyward to help you out. At the very right-hand side of your Canvas gradebook, there's a total column. It defaults to the right, but to make it feel more like Skyward, go ahead and choose Move to Front. And now what you'll see is the student name followed by their percentage in your course. Another helpful tip is to use that view bar in your Canvas gradebook. This is the place where if you are using your official Skyward courses, you can toggle between sections. So if I teach 3 sections of algebra, I can toggle between the 3 when I'm grading. You won't see this in your SANDBOX course because you don't have sections for your Canvas, your SANDBOX courses. That View tab is also where you can toggle and tell Canvas how you want those assignments to be organized within your gradebook. Okay, so once you start having assignments and students, this is when the screen is going to be helpful. You can play around with it now and pause me if you're interested. So that's the end of our design section. Now you should be able to customize that home page if you're interested. We've talked about that weekly overview page and linking to content within your Canvas course. We've customized your navigation. Remember, this needs to be done for every course that you have in Canvas. We talked about adding and renaming modules and setting up your grade categories. So take a breather, take a break, and then come back for our final section. Our last section today is implementation. And this is where we're going to talk about all the places that you're going to be living and creating in for a majority of your time in Canvas. So first up is let's talk about how you add content to your modules page. So anytime I want to create an assignment, a quiz, a page, a discussion, or even just a link to content, I'm going to do that in modules. It's really important that everything is created and shared here so that way students can access it consistently across all of their courses. So you'll notice this is my first week module on my modules page, and I'm going to use this plus sign in modules to add content to week 1. So again, anything I want students to engage with, view, or work on during week 1, I'm going to add to week 1 module. Okay? So before we talk about creating that, it's really important for me to talk to you about how students can get information back to you as the teacher. So this is the type of question that I get the most as a coach. So once this presentation is shared with you, you'll notice that this is linked to a live document that has some tutorial videos in it, and it's just a good thing to bookmark as you are starting Canvas for the first time. So anytime you create an assignment, something that is going to be graded and is going to go into your Canvas gradebook, you have to tell Canvas what type of submission are students going to complete for that assignment. So kind of a shift in thinking when using Canvas versus Google Classroom. I really only put digital assignments in Google Classroom. However, Canvas needs to have every assignment that you ever give to students, whether it's on paper or not. So as a math teacher, I give a lot of worksheets. So even if I'm giving students a worksheet for them to hand in to me, if it's going to be graded, I need to make sure that I code that as an on-paper assignment. Students will complete that worksheet, hand it back to me on paper, and I will grade it in Canvas. So even if it's something they're going to do on paper, you need to create that assignment in Canvas. So that's different for us. Similar to that is this no submission option. So if you're doing a face-to-face discussion, students are not going to hand me anything for that face-to-face discussion, but I am going to give them a grade for it. So I need to create that assignment in Canvas. So if it's something that students are not going to hand anything to you or submit anything to you digitally, I can code that as a no submission assignment. Now this online submission has lots of different options to it and lots of different things you can do. So if I code a Canvas assignment as an online submission, I have choices. I can give students questions, maybe an exit slip, and they can respond or answer with a text box entry. So it's going to give them a text box, they put their answers there and submit it to me. Another option, if you're doing outside projects where you have students complete a Wii video or a Padlet or an Adobe Spark, and you want them to share their project with you, you can code that as an online submission website URL. Another online submission type is a media recording. So I can throw out a prompt to a student, ask them to answer questions or reflect, and they're going to get a video bar where they can record a quick video of themselves answering that question or reflecting and then submit it back straight to you. Lastly, there is a file upload option. So if I want students to take a picture of something they've done by hand, or I want them to access their drive so they can share a presentation or a paper with me, I can choose this file upload option. Now this option has a unit check option, same thing with text box entry. Unit check is just an option for you to check on plagiarism, to make sure, to kind of cross-reference with the internet to make sure students aren't just copying and pasting. You also have a peer review option when you choose online submission where you can have students share work with each other and grade each other and give each other feedback. Lastly, I want to talk about this external tool. If you loved Google Classroom because you can give each kid a copy of a template that you have created, this is exactly the same thing. It just has a longer, more involved name to it. So what you'll do is you'll create a Google Doc template. Maybe it has questions on it. Maybe it has a table where you want students to type in. If you choose an external tool submission, it allows students everyone gets a copy of it and they can just type right in their own copy. You have a peer review option there, and you can also make this a group assignment where students can collaborate together. Once you are ready to start creating these assignments, whether it's something you're going to be grading or maybe a page of resources, you're going to notice a rich content editor text box when you create content. So a lot of these are self-explanatory, but some that you might use often would be embedding images or graphs or things like that. Now keep in mind, you can't just copy and paste those into Canvas. You have to upload them into your images and then you can put them in your content. If you teach math or science, you might use this kind of math type option here where you can enter equations or graphs or more advanced things that students are going to engage with. I don't see you using this very much in your directions for assignments, but once you start to think about creating quizzes or worksheets or things that you want students to answer, then you might use this option to help you with the process a little bit easier. You can also embed anything from Google Docs. I want you to keep in mind that this option here, once I'm creating that assignment, this is really only if I want students to view the content. If I want to give students a heads up on a rubric or expectations or directions that I have typed in Google Docs, I can allow them to view it by embedding it in my directions. Other options that you might use, if you have a YouTube video or a video from an outside website that you want students to view and answer questions for, you can embed those straight into your directions here. And then you can also upload your own video. So if you use Screencastify or you have a saved video on your Chromebook, you can upload those and embed those into your rich content editor here. You can also record directly in Canvas using this button. However, keep in mind it takes a little bit of time for that to upload. So if you're familiar with Screencastify, that's still our recommendation. So let's go ahead and try to create your first assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Canvas page to help you through this process a little bit easier. So whenever I want to add content to my course, I want to make sure that I'm in my modules page. So once I'm in modules, I'm going to choose the week that I want to create an activity for. So for me, I want to add an activity that I want students to complete during week 3. So I'm going to add an assignment to week 3. So when I do that, I have a drop-down menu here of all the different things that I could add to Module 3. So it could be a graded assignment. It could be a file from my computer that I want them to view. It could be a page of resource information or links. I can start an online discussion, or I can just share a link to a YouTube video or a resource on the internet. Okay, but for now, I just want to walk you through how to complete a graded assignment. I'm going to choose this new assignment up here. And then this is where I'm going to give it a title. So this is what will show up in the gradebook. So keep it nice and short and sweet. And then indentation is completely your choice. However many you want to indent is completely up to you. And then I'm going to go ahead and add that item to week 3. Okay, students will access that assignment within my overview page once I set that up, but it's layered underneath this week so students can easily access it if they need to. So now I need to create content within that assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the title, and it'll bring me to this blank assignment that I can now choose Edit. To edit this assignment, this is where this rich content editor comes into play. I can choose to add a table to organize their directions. Okay, I can edit this table. I can also link to certain information, so link to a YouTube video or a resource page that I have somewhere else. I can add an image, like I said, or I can embed a Google Doc. Remember, this is if I want students to view information. It's not if I want them to edit it. So this will access your drive. It'll search your drive, and I can choose what I want to embed or just link to. So here's my syllabus for the year. I can either give them a link to view that, or what I like is just to embed that straight into my directions so students can view my syllabus and engage with it if needed. Okay? So these are just basically your directions. Once you have this set of how you want it to look, this looks terrible, but I just wanted to show you what it can do. This is where you're going to give it some points for the gradebook. And then here are those assignment groups. So this for me is going to be a formative assessment displayed as points. And then this is where you can give it a submission type. So how do you want students to answer your questions or submit something back to you? If I choose online assignment, this is where I have those 4 choices for what students are going to submit back to me. And then you can decide how many times you want to let them resubmit. So maybe this is just a one-time thing, or you're okay with them resubmitting after they get their feedback. You have your plagiarism review if needed, your group assignments if you want, or peer reviews as well. This box right here is super important since we're going to be syncing to Skyward. Any assignment, graded assignment you create needs to be synced to Skyward. And then this is where you're going to give it a due date. So when do students have to turn this in? These 2 boxes are completely optional. You can choose to lock this assignment from student view until a certain date, or you can choose to lock it down where students cannot access it any longer after a certain date. But these 2 things are completely optional and not necessary if you don't want them, okay? So I also want to show you how you can do an external tool. So if, let's say you want students to submit something back to you with a template that you have created, I'm going to go ahead and choose external tool, and I'm going to find Google Cloud assignment. And this will also bring me to my drive. So let's say I have a template of questions that I want students to answer. Sometimes it's glitchy, so I'm going to exit out and try it again. So I have a Google Cloud assignment. It's going to link to my drive. And this is the doc that I have that I want students to write on. Okay, their web quest. So I'm going to hit select. And then now this means that each kid's going to get a copy of that Google Doc to add their own thoughts to. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save, and then you'll see what this assignment looks like. So up above, you have your integrated, just viewable document, your syllabus with some directions if needed. And then this is what students will get to type into down below for their web quest. Okay. Here are some ideas for other types of assignments or activities you might assign in Canvas. If you want to have an online discussion with students, you can provide links and prompts, expectations in that rich content editor within the assignment, or discussion. You can provide links, videos to respond to, things like that. And then within that discussion, it allows you some options for threaded replies, making sure students write their own original post before they can see what others say. And it could be graded or ungraded, and you can allow students to like each other's posts. So this is a great way to build community, hear from each student, have them collaborate and discuss content that you're creating within your course. This is what that threaded replies looks like. So one student responds to the prompt, I responded to the student, and then another student responded to that student as well, and all of those are threaded together. It's also great when Canvas makes grading these discussions wonderful for the teacher using SpeedGrader. What that does is it loops and groups everything that one student says in one spot for you, so you can see how many times Johnny posted in the discussion thread all in one place. Another feature you might use a lot is the announcement feature. So if you want to share a quick thought or a reminder, or you want to have kind of a, hey, how's everyone doing type of thing, you can use that announcement feature to share that kind of update. Keep in mind that this is not the place where you're supposed to post or create assignments. It's just for those quick updates and reminders. It could be a great place to build community with a question and answer type of announcement. How's everyone doing? And what's great is you can set those announcements to go out at any time. So if I know that I need a reminder to go out next week, I can delay the posting of that announcement till a certain date and time. Another feature that we've already kind of set up, but I want to make you aware of, is new quizzes. So this is a great tool for formative assessments, even summative assessments if you're interested. It could be where you embed a video, and maybe it's a video quiz. So you post a video within the quiz and students answer questions about it. And then you can also post a reading. Read this text and answer these questions that go along with it. What's great about it is it's self-grading, so less work for you if it's a multiple choice true-false type of quiz. And the scores are sent directly to your Canvas gradebook. You also have lots of setting options where you can say students have unlimited, I'm going to take their highest attempt, or I want them to try at most 3 times. It's also easy to differentiate, give certain students more time, accommodations, or attempts. So this is what that new quizzes option looks like that we set up at the beginning of the class. So again, you have lots of options for the settings of this quiz, and then you have lots of options for the types of questions that you want to build for students. If you're ready to try new quizzes, these are the steps to start it. Basically, what you do is you go to that quizzes tab on the side navigation bar. You're going to add a new quiz, and you're going to set your details to start building, create your questions. And then, because we're always adding things to modules, you're going to head to modules, you're going to add a new assignment and find that quiz and add that to your module. Okay, so you create this in a different place, but you're going to pull it into modules because everything needs to be in modules. Lastly, we need to talk about publishing your content. So this is a week 1 module. I need to make sure that I publish that entire module by clicking on the circle with a line through it and making it a green check mark. That means that I'm ready for students to see what's in module 1. You always want to make sure that overview page is viewable right away too, because that's where you're going to direct students to go each day. And then you can pick and choose what you want to publish depending on what day it is. So I've built these activities out, but I'm not ready for students to see them yet. So I'm only going to publish what students need to see a little bit at a time. You also need to do this for your entire course once we're ready to start with students. So you'll notice on your home page at the top right side, there's a publish option. Once I'm ready and my course is set to go for that first day of school, I'm going to publish my entire course. And once I do that, anything that's inside of your course is now viewable for the students inside of it. So your classroom tile is now going to show up on all of your students' Canvas pages. So this isn't something you need to do until the very beginning of the school year. Lastly, too, just some things to think about and know as you start to build. If you're building in a SANDBOX, it's easy to import content from one course to the other. So let's say you're building in a SANDBOX and you're ready to get that content into your official Skyward course. These are the steps that you're going to take. You're going to go to settings into the course that you want to build. Okay, so let's say I'm going to go into my official Skyward linked course and I'm going to import my SANDBOX into that. So I have my official course open. I'm going to go to settings and I'm going to find this import course content button. That will allow me to select the class that I want to copy, which would be my SANDBOX, and I can choose to just copy that entire course, or I can pick and choose what content I want to plop in. Other sharing options, let's say you are collaborating with another teacher and you want to share an assignment or a page or a quiz that you've created with others. What you can do is find that announcement, assignment, discussion, page, or quiz, and there, if you click on the three dots, you have the option to send that to someone within the district. So this will be, the person will be prompted that you've sent them an activity, and they can pick and choose if they want to add that to their courses or not. You can also do this if you create an awesome activity for your algebra class and you want to copy that into your geometry class. You can copy between your courses as well using this button here. So that's our implementation. Things that we've done, we've talked about assignments, quizzes, discussions. We talked about creating in that rich content editor. We created our first assignment with a submission type. We talked about your Canvas quizzes, and then we talked about how to import and share. So before you leave me today, I want you to know how you can get support. You can certainly always come to me or one of your coaches, but there are some great resources out there for you to find and use as you are building. So hopefully you've signed up for the PR District 155 Canvas support page that's updated regularly and should have lots of how-to and quick tutorials for you to view if you need it. So if you haven't signed up for that, please do that. And we also have great support straight from Canvas. So on your grade toolbar, if you go to that help button, there's a hotline that you can call anytime, day or night, and someone will help you through anything that you're troubleshooting. You can also just do the online chat. This is great because it connects you to a Canvas support person. You can tell them what you're having issues with, and they can give you that solution. So I'd highly recommend these supports from Canvas. They're awesome and quick and easy. If you need support, now you know where to get it, and I wish you the best of luck as you start on this Canvas journey.